This is on Just Restart. I am joined by Brandon from What About Nintendo, and this is a weekly Nintendo podcast we do here on my channel on Just Restart. The link to Brandon's channel is in the description below, but it should be pointed out that we may be putting the audio for this podcast in different places like iTunes and things like that moving forward, so if you're listening to this elsewhere, check us out on YouTube. I'm on Just Restart. That's Brandon. What About Nintendo? What About Nintendo? That's all one word, right? Should be pretty good. There may be this information in descriptions on these other audio podcast sites. I'm still working on it. I'm not entirely sure how that's all going to work out, but I'm just saying it now because that's what may happen. Actually, I just realized I'm not even recording the audio. I'm going to have to retroactively get the audio from YouTube and then upload it later, or I'll just wait till next week to start doing that in other places. We'll see, but I'm just saying it all now so people understand moving forward. We're also sponsored by Audible. A link to that is in the description below. You can get a free audiobook for 30 days, any of your choosing. There's a lot of actual good video game audiobooks, like one about the history of Mario and Nintendo and Sega, things of that nature. So there's a link to that also in the description below. We'll be checking with the chat. That's how we sort of do with this podcast in between topics. But the topics for today are, well, the new Switch. We're getting another Switch on top of the Switch Lite and the regular Switch, but it's sort of meant to replace the other Switch, so we're gonna get into that in a little bit. We're also going to be talking about the possibility of when we could see Splatoon 3. We just got the final Splatfest for Splatoon 2, so that's going to have some implications. We'll talk about Splatoon 2 for a little bit and when we could see a Splatoon 3, which technically hasn't been confirmed to not be in development yet, so we'll talk about that in a bit. We're also going to talk a little bit about Fire Emblem that's coming up this Friday. We are hyped about it, we are excited about it, and a couple more little tidbits have come out about it, so we'll talk a little bit more about that today. And then we'll also be getting into the Joy-Con drift controversy a fair bit, talk about that, complain about that, maybe talk about some solutions. And then we'll end things off with just a discussion on what we expect for the rest of 2019 from Nintendo. Probably we'll have to debate about when we'll see the hero, but I'm sure it's going to be really soon. It's probably going to be at the end of this week. But, you know, we'll see what happens with that. And that's pretty much the set topics. But, of course, if you guys have questions, post them in the chat. We will get to them, especially if you add us. It's a lot easier for us to see the questions when you add us. Especially if we're engaged in conversation, having actually a good podcast, right? If we're too focused on the chat and not engaged in the discussion, that isn't good for the actual podcast. So we got to focus on talking, but we will check in with the chat. But I'm just saying that when you add us, it's easier for just to see those particular things so we can talk about those in detail. But yeah, Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing good. I've been working on just a lot of YouTube stuff in the background, so yeah, I recorded 2 videos today for this week, so it's paired. Let's go.
Good. I don't want to make any promises for what I have to come out this week because I'm going away at this weekend, so I have to get things done sooner, and I'm trying this new strategy. I always try different strategies and they all kind of don't really work out, so we'll see what happens. But I might be mimicking basically what I did last week, where I did the podcast today, and then Wednesday through Saturday there'll be a video each day. Eventually I want to get to start maybe streaming on Sundays moving forward, but YouTube's not my full-time job yet, so I have to do another job, so timing is very challenging, especially if I want to do other things like exercise and eat and sleep.
You gotta have time for yourself.
Right.
You can't burn out.
No. But I we'll see how things turn out. But yeah, I got some plans for some things as well this week. I'm not sure. I actually ordered some new analog sticks, so I'm actually going to be making a video on just me kind of fixing the Joy-Cons. So if you guys want to see me break my Joy-Cons, there'll probably be a video on that. Hopefully it'll just be a video on this is how you do it, and hopefully mine is quicker and easier than other videos. We'll see. I really hope I don't break my Joy-Cons. I want to fix them, not break them, because they drift. It happens. It's real. It's not a myth. It's really happening. So let's check in with the chat real quick, and then let's jump into the thick of things here. I see we got people in the chat. Hello, there's Sabbath64, Lazy James. What is up? Sinus Joe. Recessive Gamer. Savage64, you're saying surprisingly your Joy-Cons do not have a problem yet. I like that you put the quote on there. You know, you want to just like make that the first topic?
If you want.
Yeah, I mean, the question's already been prompted. Like, if I talk about it now and talk about it later, it's just going to be kind of redundant, you know? So, let's talk about that first. I'm going to move the topic up here so, you know, it's clear. Because I have it, like, ordered completely differently. But I'll say, obviously, I already said that my Joy-Cons are drifting. Both of them. It's not just one of them. Both of them are drifting. And it sucks. And I want to cry about it. But I can't cry. Because, man... No, men can cry just privately, and just don't let anyone see you because they will judge you. But yeah, it's a real issue, and I like that you specified Sabbath, because I do think it's an eventuality for a lot of Joy-Cons, and people aren't quite sure why some aren't working, some others. My personal speculation, considering how I do things, I think it comes down to how you use your Joy-Cons. Now, I'm not saying that I treat my Joy-Cons poorly. I don't. But I do test my controllers a lot. I'm the kind of person that likes to grab different kinds of controllers and really mess with them, like feel them out, you know, feel the tactile touch, feel the feedback. And I'm not even playing a game. I'm just messing with the controller. Like, I like doing that. And I really mess with the Joy-Cons. With the Wii U gamepad, I used to... I'll just have a controller right here. Not even both the Wii U gamepad and the Pro Controller, like with these things, right? Like, the light's hard to see, but you know, that's you know what that is. That's a controller. It's white, so it's blinding. But I used to I would just do this like crazy, like for like 30 minutes, like just that. I just mess with the analog sticks like crazy, and I'll even make music with it sometimes. Like, I do that, right? So my point is that I put my controllers through varying stress tests, I guess you could say. I'm never like trying to contort them or I never do that, but I use them a lot. Sometimes people be like, hey, maybe you should stop doing that, but this should work, right? Like that controller still works. It's not broken, right? So I have N64 controllers that still work. So even though I do test my controllers a lot, I still think they should hold up, right? The other Nintendo controllers have, and the Joy-Cons don't. And I think because of my playstyle, because I do things like that, I probably really was a strong candidate for having drift issues, and both my Joy-Cons drift, so there you go. And it's interesting because whenever I hear people say, oh, I never have Joy-Con drift issues, it's like, I have like 20 controllers, and then none of these have an issue, and that's precisely why you don't. Because you don't use them that much. Your usage is spread between all of them, so they're not actually getting that much stress. I only have my one set, and I put a lot of stress on my controllers, and as a result, they definitely will see a full lifespan of usage. Actually, I mean, it hasn't even been a full lifespan, and that's my biggest problem with it, right? So the first year, I didn't run into that many issues, but it was like maybe like by month 12 or 13, I started to run into minor issues. Right now, we're over 2 years into the system's life cycle, and now it's very painful. Like, I go into my menu, it takes me a moment to like actually pick something because it's annoying. And for some games, like I'm not even playing some games in handheld mode now because of the analog sticks. Like, I played through Dark Souls and it would occasionally, like, turn left, and I did that for, like, 20, 30 hours, but now it's not really tolerable for my standard at this point. Right. I even lose a lot of Mario Maker levels. I use the directional buttons when I play in handheld mode, but it still sometimes will just randomly, like, stop me it'll stop my momentum because the analog stick will start saying, oh, no, let's start moving at the same time, too. So, I'm definitely been having issues with it. And my problem is, because Nintendo has a warranty for a year, but the controller started running into issues after a year, and if I knew that the controller was not going to last for more than a year, like, I feel like I should have known that going in, right? You know what I mean? Like, a controller's intended lifespan should not be for a little bit over a year. It should be, well, I don't know, at least 5 years? Right? Like, that's...
Right, at least, like, if you are an early adopter of the system, like, you should probably not have to buy, like, new controllers except to play with other people when, like, by the time that console generation is done. Like, maybe, yeah, if you're an early adopter, you know, by the time, you know, the Switch 2 is coming out, maybe your controllers aren't working as well as they did. That's fine, but I had my issue before Super Mario Odyssey even came out. That's how early mine ran into issues. It was bad. And I had to play through all of Mario Odyssey with that, which pissed me off. I probably would have enjoyed the game way more with a Pro Controller, which sucks because that game's so good. So it sucks that my first playthrough was like tainted with controller issues.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So I think Nintendo needs to address something about that. And there have been lawsuits filed already against Nintendo. Nintendo did have a statement. I didn't necessarily love this statement, but I'll go ahead and
it kind of sucked.
It was pretty ass. So here we go. I'll just read the statement. Where are we? Where is it? We take great pride in creating quality products, and we are continuously making improvements to them. We are aware of recent reports that some Joy-Con controllers are not responding correctly. We want our consumers to have fun with Nintendo Switch, and if anything falls short of this goal, we always encourage them to visit support.nintendo.com so we can help. I feel like if I do this, they'll be like, okay, so yeah, send in your Joy-Cons, and for $50, we'll fix it.
Right. It's like, oh, no thanks.
No, that's not really okay. That's not okay. No. The controllers should last more than 2 years or a year.
Yeah.
That's
the warranty's pretty small. Like, only a year, really? Like, the controllers should last more than that.
I'm okay if the system because the systems aren't really having issues, right? It's just the Joy-Cons. Like, maybe what they could do is they could they don't even have to have necessarily a recall. Maybe what they could do is simply say, hey, look, we are extending the warranty for Joy-Cons for 5 years or something like that.
5 years is a little long, but 2 or 3 years at least.
If they say 2 years, all early adopters it won't work for early adopters. Us day oneers won't have that benefit. So I think 2 years would be not enough. 3 years, but then there's a small window for day oneers to change it, right? Because it'll by next March. So it's not really that small of a window if they make an announcement within a month or so. Will they do that? I don't know. They may not do anything until this lawsuit is sort of resolves. I'm not sure. So I don't like the situation, especially considering the history. Nintendo has had a history of like making quality controllers.
Right. And this controller is great. I've had no issues with it. The launch ones had issues with the D-pad.
And that also pisses me off. Great. That pisses me off too.
That is annoying. I think you probably could have been in warranty with that though, because I think you noticed issues like right away, but you didn't send it in.
No, because I'm that guy who just procrastinates and it's like, nah.
Actually, I did the same thing as my Joy-Con, but only because that was my only controller, and so I wouldn't have been able to play it all for weeks.
Yeah, I remember when I got my Switch day one. I've told you about this before, but some people haven't heard it. When I got my Switch day, I got a Nintendo Switch, I got a Pro Controller, I got Breath of the Wild, I got like 5 Zelda amiibos. You know, I spent a lot. I saved up for a while for this. Like, I had a huge bag. There's an old unboxing video of me doing this like a while ago. You know, March 1st, 2017 or March 3rd. You know, whenever that happened, it's there. But like, I got all this stuff, and I was so excited. I was so ready for this. I've been waiting for so long, and I set it all up, and nothing was appearing on the television. My Switch worked portably, but the dock was defective.
Really? Your dock was broken?
My dock was defective. And I wasn't sure if I wasn't sure at first, but the thing is, my brother fortunately had also gotten a Nintendo Switch, and his worked fine, of course. But the only way I was able to test to see if it was my dock or not was by plugging my own Switch into his dock, and it worked. So that's how I was able to know that it was the dock and not the Switch. But when I called support Nintendo, they wanted me to send in the whole system. And I was like, no, that is not fair. I know the dock is what's broken. I still want to have my Switch and play it. This is important to me, right? So eventually I got to speak to someone higher up, and they're like, okay, this is fine. We will send just the dock. You could send just a dock, we'll fix that, and they eventually did. And because my brother didn't need to play his Switch as much, and he doesn't need the television, he let me use a dock for a little while, until I got my dock back. So it worked out, But point is, day one, my dock was defective. And Nintendo support is usually good, but, you know, I did have to... Their corporate response, their standardized response wasn't fair. They wanted me to send the whole thing when I knew clearly that it was just a dock that was broken. So, you know, I don't know if Nintendo's going to be like that with the Joy-Con, because that's a lot of Joy-Cons, man. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of parts to replace. There is maybe a somewhat similar it's not the same. But I remember with the Wii, there was the issue of people throwing their controllers at televisions, which I thought was a really dumb issue, right? Like, there was nothing wrong with the controller. It was something wrong with the people throwing controllers. So if you're one of those people, I'm sorry if I insulted you. But I just think it's kind of silly that Nintendo's being charged because people did not know how to hold their controllers. So Nintendo was forced to start... It did come with a strap. I think it still came with a strap in the system, but they needed to start sending out better straps, like stronger straps, right? If I remember correctly, the Wii did launch with a strap, so you still could strap your system, but Nintendo was forced to, for free, send out straps to anyone who requested better straps. Like, you could go on Nintendo's website and order a couple, and they would send them to you for free. So that was kind of a crazy little thing that you could do. Now, obviously, a strap is relatively inexpensive as opposed...
That probably costs them a couple cents to make.
Yeah, but they still have to send them, and that's a whole bunch of people whoever requests them, right? So that was definitely a loss. With Joy-Cons, having to recall them for anyone who replaces it is a whole other ordeal.
That's a lot.
Whole other ordeal. I don't know how I feel like the smartest play is just to say, hey, look, anyone who bought if you bought a Joy-Con, you have a 3-day warranty or something. Like, you can still send them in, and Nintendo can... that's still going to be expensive, but then how many people are... I think a 3-year warranty, extending it to a 3-year warranty might be... In my opinion, that would be the way to fix this.
Right.
But, of course, 3... Yeah, I guess that may be... Because anyone within this 3-year warranty can fix them now, and they make an announcement. Maybe they even have it on the news channel or some sort of disclaimer on their Switch. I'll say, hey, look, if you're running any Joy-Con issues or something, maybe they don't want to advertise it because then more and more people would send it. But maybe that's the way to solve it, and then they will switch it. Joy-Cons coming out from now moving forward are just they fix the issue. Whatever manufacturing problem that allows those that doesn't allow those Joy-Con analog sticks to age well, they will fix that. Maybe that's what they could do.
Yeah, I can't think of anything better, to be honest. I don't know what they would do otherwise.
Tough pickle to deal. I'm just gonna try and fix my Joy-Cons, right?
Right.
But
if that works, I'm gonna fix it the same way. So. Yeah.
We'll let you'll see that video later this week. But let's see what you guys in the chat think about this problem. So what's this going to be on here? Jeremy Bench, chances of Breath of the Wild on Xbox, 0%.
Negative 100%.
Lazy Jane saying, bottom line, Joy-Cons need reworking with the guts. They gotta fix something with that analog stick within the very insides of it. It's not a simple, like, little clean fix. Absolutely. Let me see here. It's talking about battery life. I don't really have a problem with the battery life on any of my controllers, but the Pro controller has an amazing battery life. 80 hours is wonderful. I would say my Joy-Con still have better battery life than my PS4 controller.
Oh yeah, I think the PS4 has 4 to 6 hours, and the Joy-Con have 20 each.
It's terrible.
It's really bad.
It's really, really bad. Otherwise, I'd say the controller is great, by the way. The PS4 controller is really good.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Minus the battery life. And I have all my cables are janky, so it's always a pain to charge it.
Yeah, I don't know why, but PS4 and Xbox One control, like, their ports suck. They like barely connect. They go in like this much, and they're like really wiggly. It sucks.
Like, I would say in terms of features, the PS4 controller is better than the Pro controller because it has an audio jack. Well, I mean,
and analog triggers.
And analog triggers. Although the Pro controller has HD Rumble, which is wonderful, right? And it has an 80-hour battery life. So I would still say the Pro controller is a better controller, but not having an audio jack, kind of a problem. Also, with the early Pro controllers, like myself, they have a bad D-pad. I'm glad that, I guess apparently Nintendo fixed that issue, but
mine is great. Played through Cadence of Hyrule, no issues.
Maybe if this Joy-Con thing works out for me, I'll have another video where I fix the D-pad on my Pro controller. We'll see how that works out. Hello there, Mastermind. But I think what Nintendo just needs to send everyone free Joy-Cons.
Yes,
that would solve the problem, but Nintendo would lose a lot of money. Too much.
There's a lot of money.
Yeah, but that lawsuit might be an issue.
Yeah.
But let's move on to another interesting hardware development for Nintendo and the Switch family. There's another member to the Switch family, and I'm not talking about the Switch Lite. I'm talking about Switch. Same. Switch same.
Switch the same.
Switch the same, but not actually. So we were talking about this last week. We had the FCC filing, we had the rumors, we had all of that. We were like, okay, well, something else is coming. And we did get an official announcement. It wasn't like this super big advertised thing, but if you go on Nintendo's website, you will see 2 different SKUs. And the only difference that's being advertised, or listed, I should say, is better battery life. And this new Switch revision was being marketed as the same Switch, same naming, same branding, just slightly different coloring and order of the box art, same price, is battery life. The battery life is really good. It's like, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. I think it's like 6 to 9 hours.
I think it's 4.5 to 9.
I mean, I could pull it up right now on Nintendo's website, but
that'll
take me 30 seconds. Let's time me, Brandon. 10. Count.
1, 2, 3, 4,
God,
5.
the pressure. I'm choking. This is 7, not gonna. No, stop.
8,
stop. Slow down.
9,
You're freaking me
10,
out. No, this is 11, not good. No, I'm already
12,
I'm on the website, but I don't know
13,
where to go. I don't know where to go from here.
14,
what
compare,
do I do?
15,
it says Nintendo Switch already.
16, go to compare.
Compare.
17,
Where is that? Oh, compare.
19.
Okay,
20.
got it. Okay, we're good. 25 seconds. But this is only comparing the Lite and the normal Switch. Wait, battery. Wait, but there's 2 SKUs. There we go. I'll put this up here so you guys can see it. All right. Hopefully, does that come out on the podcast, right? Yeah, it does. So here we have the 2 different model numbers, right? So regular Switch, 2.5 to 6.5 hours. The Switch Lite's 3 to 7 hours, and the new updated Switch, but still same Switch, is 4.5 to 9 hours. So I was right about the end, but not the early part. So it varies. But like for example, they like using Breath of the Wild as a benchmark. So regular Switch is at 3 hours approximately to play Breath of the Wild. Switch Lite is 4. This updated Switch is 5.5.
So it's nearly double the battery life on Breath of the Wild there.
That's very good. I mean, for me, it's not a problem. Honestly, my battery has never been an issue for my Switch, right? And I do play portably. But I mean, like, I guess I never play for such long segments that I can't just charge my Switch shortly afterwards. So it works for me. I guess if it's for people who only play in portable mode like all the time, right? And they like I think about back to when I was a kid, I would play like on the Game Boy Color, right? Like if I just ran around playing that all day, I guess I could see how, you know, a regular Switch's battery wouldn't really do it for me. And I have friends who complain about the battery life, right? Like, so I'm not saying that, oh, you know, only kids. No, it depends on your play style, which, you know, this other Switch is good. But of course, like, if you already got like a battery bank, I don't think you really need to get this other Switch. From the sounds of it, Nintendo's not going to allow any like significant performance boost with this updated Switch. Like, it really is just the same thing, but like you mentioned for months, Brandon, it's just Nintendo's using a newer SoC, a newer chipset with both the Switch Lite and this regular Switch that's cheaper for Nintendo to manufacture, less heating issues. It's gonna be harder for Nintendo to pirate, and it's just something they want to move forward with. So then that's just going to be their standard Switch moving forward, and they will phase out this older Switch because it's like more expensive to make it, and it has all the pirating and heating issues. So that's it. And maybe the reason it has better battery life is purely just because it's more efficient.
Yeah, it's just because it uses the. I don't want to get techie here, but it uses a different. Just to say it's more efficient. It's about twice as efficient. Technically, if they wanted to in docked, they could use that efficiency to boost the clocks like way higher, but I don't think they're going to do that. I actually am going to make a video, I think it's coming out Wednesday, talking more about why I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I agree with you, and I'm not going to force you to talk about it because you have your own video you're working on, but I'm just going to say my thoughts on that. If we look at what Nintendo did with the Switch Lite, like they basically cut out the ability for TV connectivity. Like maybe they did it just for heating issues, maybe, but I speculate the real reason is just because they did not want to outclass the regular Switch. They wanted it to still seem valuable. So
because they're using the same processor in both, although I do think there's a different version that's in the Lite, but it's not that much different. It's just tuned to clocks.
Yeah, mainly just lower clocks, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I imagine that they stripped it just because they don't want to devalue the system. And I think that same philosophy probably is also going to apply with this other Switch as well. Like they don't want to devalue what they've had with the regular Switch. They don't want to slight owners. This is just something they're changing for an improvement. And yes, it does have better battery life. And by putting that out there, there may be people who already have a Switch who will double dip to get a better battery Switch.
Right.
So that's fine. And granted, having better battery, that's a good thing. So I think that's a smart way to play. And my point is that, like you said, Brandon, they probably could technically overclock it in docked mode, right? Because the battery consumption is not an issue in docked mode, and it would be more powerful than the regular Switch. But because of the same philosophy they use with probably cutting out TV connectivity, they probably don't want to do that.
I don't think they want this to be. Well, they're not even really advertising it, as you said earlier. There's no trailer. There's not even as much as a tweet. Like they didn't acknowledge it at all, and it's coming out. It's coming out next month, right? I think I double checked that.
It depends on the area. I think it's coming out in August, but like in UK, it's coming out in September.
North America, it's August, and Europe, it's September. I think it's a little bit later for Europe, for whatever reason. That's the weirdest thing. See, like this is not like a normal new Switch. Like they would launch if this wasn't like a Switch Pro, Switch Lite, day and date around the whole world. This is like just something they're doing just because. They're not even really talking about it.
No, yeah, they're not really talking about it. It's not a big deal. See, I was worried because you were speculating last week that they would have like different like internal storage sizes, and I mean I definitely thought it was possible, but I was hoping that it wouldn't really, because I didn't like the sound of Nintendo really pushing this as something else new, because I think it would devalue what we already have, right? And it already has. It is technically devaluing what we already have because it has a better battery life,
but it's the same price.
But at least
it's gonna have it's gonna be less noisy. Like when I play my Switch, I notice a lot that it's like really loud. I think the fan should kick up a lot less since it should be producing less heat.
I think my Switch makes more noise now than it used to, though. I wonder, is it like just a dust issue?
You might want to clean it out, actually, if it's like really dusty. It shouldn't be hard. Actually, the backplate comes off super easy. Especially, I'm not even sure if it's tri-ring screws or not. They might just be normal. I'd have to check.
They're tri-wing.
Okay, so if you have a tri-wing screwdriver, that comes off really easily. All that's there is literally just that back plate and then a metal plate, and then you can get straight to the fan.
Is it visible? Not really.
It was for a split second.
A split second it was.
Not really.
Not really. It's trying.
We believe you.
Take my word for it. Or look at your own Switch. Then that's what Nintendo for all their hardware, you need Tri-Wing.
Right. I already have one because I took apart my gamepad and trying in vain to fix it back in the day. But yeah, you can take that off pretty easily and clean it if you need to.
Yeah, well, I may do that. I'll look into that. But I'm okay with it. How do you feel about a whatchamacallit? What do you think this sort of implies about a Switch Pro?
Right. I made a video on this, but I'll go into it because I let that video lie. I am conflicted on this one. I don't think it means too much. To be honest, I don't think it means too much for the Pro, just because they're not talking about this. This isn't going to have any better graphics. I mean, 99% sure it's not going to be any better graphics. It's just better battery life. This is not something they're advertising. It's not even coming out on the same date worldwide, and it's coming out halfway, just a little bit over halfway through the year. Like, this isn't something that's coming out holiday or anything like that. This is going to be, a long time in between this and whenever a Switch Pro may come out, and it's not aimed at the Pro audience at all. So I really don't think that this changes too much.
No, it's not a premium. It's not.
No.
So that's one of the. I made a video talking about how the initial Wall Street Journal report suggested that they were making another Switch revision that would be catered. Literally said like catered to avid video gamers.
Mm-hmm.
Like more so than a regular Switch owner. I believe it was implying a Pro. This Switch, it has better battery life. I think there was some confusion on what information they had. My personal opinion on that. So, because this is not a Pro. This is not a premium system. It's the same thing. Just better battery.
What happened is technically the system. Well, the thing is, this chip is not only going to be in the Switch. There is heavy information and rumors and leaks to suggest that this is also going to be in the next Shield TV. So just like how the Tegra X1 is in the Shield TV currently, this Mariko chip, as it's called, will be in that system. And it has the potential to have more features, like it goes up to 8 gigabytes of RAM. It can have a much higher clock speeds, which probably won't be used in the Switch. So there is the potential there with the chip is technically possible, but it's likely that's going to be used for the Shield and not this Switch.
We've heard rumors about something else in the works that would maybe be a Pro. Like, do you remember what do you know what I'm talking about? This is just coming. I'm just bringing this off the top of my head. I haven't done any research on this lately.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. I'm not sure.
It was a long time ago. And I'm sure there are other rumors talking about other potential Switches now, but nothing that's like, catching fire or really trending. Right. But there was a long time ago, like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, we were talking about another rumor I'm talking about a third, way more powerful Switch. Could that, if that rumor is true, like, am I ringing any bells here, or is it just, no? No. It doesn't matter. Do you think this Mariko chip would be used for a Switch Pro, or do you think they have to use something new?
Absolutely, it would not be used for the Pro. Even if it did get used to its full potential, it wouldn't be that much better. Essentially, all you'd get is a slight, maybe 25% up res in like games with dynamic resolution. So maybe, in an area of Doom that hits close to like 540p, it'll be at like 640p, and you'll be like, yay.
Right.
This is not something that's going to be enough to market.
Okay.
It's just not capable. It's not even as powerful as the Tegra X2. There's actually many ways in which the Tegra X2 is more powerful than this chip. So it's not even as powerful as that, and I wasn't even thinking that was going to be in a Pro. I was thinking something better than that, actually. And it's not even as powerful as that, so.
Right. So, I don't really think it takes away too much from the possibility of there being a Pro. But we also don't have any super credible reports saying there will be a Pro yet, right? We don't have a Wall Street Journal coming out and saying there's a Pro. We don't have a Nikkei. We don't have any, like recent era mods who are industry insiders who have a spotless track record saying that there's a pro in the works. Like, they're maybe.
My one thing that does make me kind of wonder is there doesn't seem to be another chipset supported in the Switch's firmware at this time, and the Mariko chip has been lightly supported for a while.
How long is a while?
I'm not sure exactly, but sometime late last year.
Was it late last year? Really?
I think so. I think it was sometime in 2018, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
Well, we're still early into this year. If assuming it follows the same timeline, and a Switch Pro were to come summer, right? There's still months before they would update. And who knows, maybe they wouldn't even update it immediately. Maybe they wouldn't want us to know about that, right? Maybe it wouldn't be on the same firmware. Maybe it'd have its own separate thing. I'm not sure. I mean, I imagine that you would still want all the Switches to work together, but maybe that wouldn't even be something that would happen, like, if the update would happen, like, way later. Like, they didn't have to have that information available so early on within the Switch's firmware already.
Yeah, and it may use a new firmware since, the Switches that are out now are all the same graphical profile. They all run exactly the same. They don't run any differently. So essentially, yeah, the new Switch revision has better battery life, but it still runs the same clock speeds. It still has the same CPU and GPU and RAM setup. Everything about the internals is the same. It's just a new process to make that internals that makes it more efficient, if you know what I mean. So it's not like they have to program it to run any different. They both run exactly the same. So a Switch Pro would not be like that. And a Switch Pro may have different features. You may be able to have multiple apps open at once or something like that. There may be some differences to the firmware due to its...
That'd be cool if it gets to, suspend that. Maybe that's... I do suspect that's part of the reason why, like, streaming apps haven't really been pushed on the Switch, because you can only use one app at a time, right? Which is kind of annoying. But on Switch Pro, you'll be able to, that would be like one nice feature. Oh, you use multiple apps at once. Like, that's one more thing they could say a Pro 8, you can do this, right? Or maybe you could play two different games. That'd be crazy, actually, because even like the PS4 or Xbox One, they don't really do that. I
don't know if they go that far.
That'd be insane.
But it would be. It's something that I've wanted from consoles for a long time, because I can do that with my PC. It's just not something I think is going to happen. Something that I really want from consoles is the support for multi monitor support. So like I have 3 monitors on my computer. I got one here, one here, one here. I can't do that with any consoles. Like, there's just one monitor. So I don't think they're going to do that with the Pro. I'm just saying that's like something I really want.
Well, what would be the benefit? Like, just having more space for the UI?
Well, I could have like different apps open at the same time. So like I could have, and I probably wouldn't do this myself, but maybe if somebody wants a walkthrough of a game up on one screen while they are playing the same game, and they don't want to hook up their computer right at that moment, they could do that. Yeah. Like if they're somewhere where they don't have a laptop or a computer.
Right.
They have their Switch.
It seems like kind of a very, like I get it, but it just seems like something that would be very niche.
Right. There's also, like, you can have games running across multiple monitors, but that would be, like, really intensive. So I'm not sure how they would support that. But PCs... The
dual screen is making a comeback!
There you go. Oh, God.
That'd be interesting.
They require you to buy 2 monitors to play some games. That would suck.
That wouldn't happen. Nintendo will never do that. That just will not happen.
Right. You'd hope.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've talked about Switch revisions ad nauseum for weeks already. I think we can probably move on here. Unless there's anything else you guys in the chat want to bring up. I'm also hyped for Link's Awakening, by the way. This year's looking great.
Yeah.
This is a pretty fun looking year. And I do want kind of focus on that towards the end of the discussion, because I have some ideas for later. So we'll be getting into that. But let's talk a little bit about Splatoon 3. So, I actually did play the Splatfest. I know I kind of skipped every Splatfest minus the first one for Splatoon 2. But I did get in, I put in some matches. I had a good time. If I wasn't working most of the weekend, I would have played more. And it was fun, you know. I wish I played more Splatfest, honestly, but it didn't. It just didn't. Like, I kept forgetting that I had Splatoon 2 as a game.
Right.
I've played a lot of Splatoon 2. Don't get me wrong. I have close to. I definitely have at least 80 hours clocked. I'm maybe over 90.
I had 160 hours last time I checked, but I've played it twice since then, so I probably have about 165.
Right, and
so
that's probably let's be real. I understand that my clock time and your clock time, which is almost double mine, right? Like, that is nothing compared to your typical Splatoon player who's this is what they play. Right, this is what you play every day. You play. So I get it. So I understand that. I never really got too into like ranking up and playing with people online. I did it occasionally. That was pretty much it. I 100% single player. And I maxed out salmon run. That I wanted more salmon run. That I loved that mode. I wanted more out of that. I actually still haven't even gotten the Octo expansion, so that's something I could probably get around to doing.
I just beat the campaign for that today on stream.
Yeah?
It's really good. And I haven't beaten it. I put probably 7-8 hours into it, and I did not beat it 100%. There's like a lot of levels you don't have to go to, and you can go back and do those. So I could probably squeeze 10 to 15 hours out of that DLC.
Yeah,
it was good.
That would be pretty nice. It's a Octos. I mean, it looked cool. I just never. Another thing, I just never got around to buying it. I don't know why when I will this year, because there's a lot there.
I feel you. I mean, I bought it like months and months ago, and I just beat it. So
yeah,
I feel you.
Yeah, this came out like last year. This time it's like a year old already.
Yeah,
maybe more.
Well.
Yeah, I think it's more than a year old. So. But anyway, now that Splatfest is over, Team Chaos won. Which team did you pick, by the way?
I was on Order. I cannot believe my fellow Patriots let me down. I was doing so well. Got the Queen. Got so much clout.
Did you see my tweet on this?
I did, I don't remember.
Do you know which side I picked?
You picked Chaos, right?
Yeah, I just was hoping you didn't, so I would want you to guess.
I did see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I picked Chaos. I honestly debated it because I felt like Silver looked like prettier, or Platinum, whatever color the ink is. Like, I felt like it looked prettier. But I did not like the layout. like in the actual maps, I felt like the ink looked prettier, but I felt like which one? Marina, right? Marina's the dark one. Like, I didn't like her costume. I felt like Pearl's looked better, and I liked the gold on the black. Like, that just kind of aesthetically, like, the aesthetic.
I agree with that.
Matched, seemed cooler to me.
I just hate Pearl with a passion. I don't like her character.
No, I think Marina is a bae. Like, she's beautiful. She's so beautiful, and Pearl's
just mean.
She's just interesting. She's very interesting.
I don't like her.
I like them both. Like, Pearl has really grown on me, but Marina, obviously, I mean, she's a babe. So, you know, natural inclination towards Marina, of course. But despite those natural inclinations, I chose Team Chaos because I'm a chaotic person. I like the aesthetic a little bit more. So
I chose Order because I'm very OCD and everything needs to be orderly.
Yeah, I know you are. Which is why I'm not surprised. I'm a mess, right? You see this part of the room. You don't know what the rest looks like. It's a mess. It ain't pretty. I mean, it's not ugly, but it's messy. I have clothes everywhere. But anyway, it's clean. But so I'm a messy person. I'm not a nasty person. There's a difference. Okay? Clean.
There's a difference.
And there is a method to my madness. Like, if someone were to come like, oh my god, what is this that organizes for me? If I come in, I'll freak out. Because, like, no, I left that there for a reason. You know, like, I hate it when that happens. But anyway, like, I actually had stayed with my grandma for a year, like, after my grandpa passed away. To, you know, be around her for a while. And at the time, I was kind of finishing up some classes in Miami. So it made sense. So I stayed with her for a while. It was actually right before I started doing YouTube. I started doing YouTube while I was living there, actually. So this was like 2.5, 3 years ago. But she liked cooking and cleaning. That's just what she liked doing. For the record, like, I grew up like no one would cook. Like, sometimes my parents would cook for me, but I had to do all the chores. Like, there was no, the premise of someone doing my laundry was just mind blowing to me. Like, no one's ever done my laundry before. Like maybe like twice in my life, my dad did my laundry. Like that's it. And but my grandma would just come into my room, take my clothes and just do it, or she just liked cleaning. But my point is that this is not even about, we're not even talking about video games. Point is, she liked coming into my room and just cleaning everything, and then I'd freak out. I was like, oh my god, where's my stuff? Like,
we're talking about chaos versus order.
Chaos versus order, there you go. You're right, it is relevant. So, like, she brought in the order, but I needed the chaos. I think, honestly, I wish there's team neutral, which honestly I know it defeats the point, but I think the real solution is a chaotic order, or an order to the chaos, if that makes any sense. Like, I think together they're perfect, right? Like, Pearl and Marina are a great duo. One's chaotic, one is orderly. Together, they make it work. You need both. But I went with chaos, and obviously my inclusion, my addition to the Splatfest caused the landslide 3-0 victory. It's obviously all on me.
It was all on you.
All 10 matches I played.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if even, I don't even think I played 10 matches. Probably like 7 or 8. Maybe 10.
Yeah.
They go fast.
Yeah, I played for 3 hours. I was streaming it, got to Queen. It was fun. I won most of the matches. I probably won 80% of what I played.
Well, at
So,
first for me, it was hard to push a win. It was really hard for me to push a win at first. I started winning. I started doing a little bit better after a little bit. Like, I didn't even remember how to do, because I like using dualies. I didn't even remember how to do the dodge. I was like, oh, how do I do the dodge? I don't know how to do the dodge. I didn't even know how to do the special, like, until it came up. I was like, oh, I clicked this. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I forgot it.
Yeah, so it took me a little bit, but I kind of liked what I was doing. I was pretty happy with it. And I started getting the hang of it, so I was enjoying it. I had a good time with the little I played. But it caused a victory, and Chaos has won. And with Splatoon 2, what was it? Was it we had to pick between the two different Squid Sisters in Splatoon 1 for the final Splatfest? And it had implications for the story in Splatoon 2.
It determined which one got captured in the story of Splatoon 2.
Right. So why are they calling this Splatocalypse, by the way? Is it just like a name?
My theory is that it will determine something about an apocalyptic event in the story of Splatoon 3.
Right. And the result of the Splatfest will decide if there's like an order sort of issue or it's like a chaotic issue, right? Yeah, that's what I'm sort of thinking. I think they're going to do that as well. And obviously, because we're talking about this raises the question. Oh, so is Splatoon 3 in the works? Well, apparently it has not been in development yet. The team is actually also working on Animal Crossing New Horizons, but that comes out this March. So maybe they will be starting development this year, or at least the planning stages of it, and they'll go into development shortly after the release of, or once Animal Crossing goes gold, they'll probably move on to that. So we could still see it 2 to 3 years from now, which would actually be a while, right? Because Splatoon 2 was supported for 2 years, right? We would have to wait until 2021 maybe. I think 2021 is realistic. Because they would use the same engine as Splatoon 2, just enhance it.
Right. I also have a video on this coming out tomorrow, but I'll talk about it here. It's fine. I am not completely convinced, but I would not be surprised if if they waited for Splatoon 3 on the next Switch. To be honest,
could be a launch title.
I would think it would be the same as like the Nintendo Switch launching in the first year. No, because we got that in 2017, the first year of the Switch. We could get Splatoon 3 a couple months after Switch 2 launches. Because honestly, why would they put out a Switch or a Splatoon 3? Like, this one is gonna sell. It's gonna keep selling. I understand why it was a 2 years in between the first game and the second game, because the first game was on the Wii U. It did really well and people really liked it, but it was on a dead console and they needed new games for the new console to be successful. But now they have that and it's doing really well, and I don't think they need to get out a new game on this console. I think they can focus on different IPs and different games and just leave Splatoon alone for now.
I mean, yeah, so it's not like the game is... You can still play the game. There's still plenty to do in terms of multiplayer in the game, right? So I guess they could maybe do that. It's just interesting because I draw the comparison to Fortnite because it's a game that's constantly updated all the time, right? And Season 9 is, like, ending. They're going to have Season 10 soon. But that's still... It still hasn't even been going on for 2 years. Like, I wonder how long they're going to support that game for. Right, but that game it's a different situation. Yeah,
that's Epic's major game. That's like
that is
they don't make
Fortnite
that many.
Is effectively their platform now. Like it's not it's not like Unreal is a platform and Fortnite's just an IP of it. It's like the other way around almost. It isn't. I'm not. Don't confuse what I'm saying. I'm just saying like Fortnite is what they are, right? That is their breadwinner.
They're Unreal Engine 4 and Fortnite. That's what they are. So that's their identity right now.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of I like making that comparison. Like I kind of like what, of course, Splatoon's its own thing, but it would be interesting. I mean, I'm probably gonna make a video on what I want for Splatoon 3 this week. Like, there are things I have in mind, and I'll save that. But like split screen. I'd like to see.
I was about to say, I bet split screen is one of them.
Yes, it is. I want split screen. There are some things. I want.
Well, the Switch 2 will likely have, be much more capable. Maybe they'll be able to put split screen.
Maybe a battle royale mode.
Well, I have no idea about battle royale.
Maybe a more expanded salmon run. It has an endless mode in it.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that's pretty much my video right there. 30 seconds. You just click this. What was Splatoon 3? There you go.
Just uploads it. Not even long enough to monetize the video.
Is there a limit for monetization?
I think there was, but I don't think it's there anymore. But it used to be you had to be over a minute long.
Wow.
I don't know if that's a thing anymore or not.
I don't know, but I mean, I do think length does impact like what kind of ads you get, because
definitely impacts how many ads are on it.
Because the more the advertisers want their ads to be seen, so the shorter a video is, less opportunity to show it off, right? People aren't on the platform as long, so YouTube's also like, oh well, this is not good. We like pushing things that have watch time, so all these different things there. It'll be longer than 30 seconds. We'll see. Maybe I'll do some research, come up with better ideas, but just off the top of my head, those are some things I would like to see in a Splatoon 3. But, so, you don't think Splatoon 3 is going to happen on the Switch?
My thing is, I'm thinking we might see a Splatoon, I'm thinking we might see a Switch 2 in 2022 or 2023. So, I think the natural development time of a Splatoon 3 would be close enough to that they would just wait a year and launch it with that system. That's my thing.
So, there's this idea. Now I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. I don't know. I'm just bringing up the idea. Don't shoot the messenger. Get shot anyway. That Nintendo moving forward, what they're simply going to do is they will continually release more revisions that are more powerful, but the base Switch will still be compatible with every game that comes out. Like, Switch games will stay Switch games. Like, Switch games for example, maybe there is a Switch 2 that comes out 2 or 3 years from now, right? And Splatoon 3 does launch at the same time, but this Switch 2 it's backwards compatible, or rather, it's not even just backwards compatible, it's the same games. Like, the cartridges aren't any different. They're just in there. Maybe they are cheaper to make and they hold more space, but they're the same thing.
Like,
so basically, Splatoon 3 would also play on a Switch, is what I'm saying.
Right. My thing is, in concept, it sounds nice.
Like communism.
But I do think it's very healthy to have a refresh, like to have a brand new console that has its own games and its own library. That way the games aren't being held back by previous systems. For example, you want split screen in Splatoon 3. Imagine a scenario where they don't put
to program that for the base Switch as well.
Right, because it doesn't work. It just doesn't run well on the base Switch. So they just go, okay, we're not going to put it in. But if it was exclusive to this new Switch, they would have put in that feature. That's why I don't like the idea of it being like an iPhone that just continues on and on and on, because you need that refresh to really focus on using the new tech in ways that the other older systems can't do.
Right. Now, there was... Okay, and I understand, that makes sense. Also, there's a whole business side of things where, like, after a certain point, you're gonna... The sales for a particular system will trend downwards because most people who are gonna buy a Switch will already have had one 5-6 years from now, probably. Right? So Nintendo's gonna want to release something else because they want to continue to sell systems. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, that makes sense. But the thing is... If every game that comes out for Switch 2 is compatible with the base Switch, there's less reason to buy a Switch 2, right? So
it's also way more work for like third-party developers.
Yeah, but there with the PS4 and Xbox One, when they came out for like, I don't know if it was for 2 years. I feel like it was for almost for 2 years, where games were compatible with both the 360 and the PS3 and the Xbox One and the PS4. Like they had the same. They had ports for. It wasn't that they were compatible. It wasn't like you could use the same disc. You had to buy a separate disc, but they were ports for each of those platforms.
Right.
So maybe that could happen.
I didn't like
Switch.
that because you could definitely tell that those games were being held back by the previous system.
It's the same thing as you brought up. They still have to design the game with the older, cheaper systems in mind.
You can tell as soon as they stop doing that, that's when like the graphical fidelity of this generation took off. Like a lot of people were like, oh, the PS4 is like barely more powerful than my PS3. It just plays the same games at a slightly higher resolution. And as soon as they stopped doing that, it was like, oh crap, PS4 is like way better than my PS3. It actually has like really powerful compared to that system, and it can do a lot of really good things. And that's why I just didn't like that area of, it felt like the first year or two of the PS4 and Xbox One is honestly like one of the most underwhelming launches of any generation ever. Like it was bad. Like there was just remakes.
I think it's another reason why the Switch, with it coming out so late, kind of works a little bit, because it's almost like the PS4 and the Xbox One needed a couple years before they really could start their generations. You know what I mean? At the same time, though, next year the other two systems are probably coming out, but there may be a similar situation where we may have to wait.
Scarlet's definitely coming out, but I'm not sure about PS5.
Right, that's under debate. But considering the silence from Sony when it comes to like E3 events, I think it's like probably around the corner as well. I mean,
Sony Experience is when we're gonna see it, or the PlayStation Experience is what's it called? Whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That's when we're gonna see it.
PlayStation X or something.
Yeah, PSX, I think.
PSX.
PlayStation Experience.
Yeah, I'm not a Sony fanboy, so can't really help you there with the info. I don't know, man. I think, well, I kind of know. It's a guess, right? But I do think there's a really good chance that when PlayStation 5 and Scarlet come out, likely next year. I mean, Scarlet's confirmed, but the other, likely PS5 as well. That they'll still have games coming out for PS4 and Xbox One, especially because they came with a Pro and Xbox One X not too long ago.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to have these different systems that are all, the games are going to be playable for all of them. Granted, there'll probably be like a different disc or something for the PS5 or Scarlet, but there'll still be ports for each one. And then it'll probably be like that for at least a year, maybe even a 2-year sort of bleed in, which gives a Switch time to live a full life cycle.
Right.
Meaning, you know, we could be looking at 3 years before we get Splatoon 3. Especially if they haven't started development at all.
Right. I do think that Nintendo will want to launch a new Switch a year or two after the PS5 and Xbox Scarlet, not because they're more powerful graphically, but because game simulation itself on the CPU side has reached such a higher peak, especially on PC, and it's about to be like that on consoles, that it's not something you can simply turn down the graphics and port to a smaller machine. Like, it just physically does not work. Like, it does not simulate. Like, you can't have that simulation run on something that's not powerful enough. Like, if you change the gameplay itself, like if you make there be less enemies, make there be less destruction, make there be less physics, then it will work. But it's not something that you can be like, oh, I'll just turn down the textures, turn down the resolution. So
it wouldn't be the same game.
Right, it wouldn't be the same game. That's the problem.
That's
I think
a lot of extra work
into.
to make it like fair.
Right. I think that's going to be the problem they're going to run into a year or two after, because I do agree. I think especially the Pro and the Xbox One X are going to be heavily supported. I think the base PS4 and Xbox One, they'll run the games, but they'll probably be like not that optimized. They'll probably run like crap like the Xbox One normal games already do. They run really bad. So I don't think they're going to be heavily supported, but the enhanced consoles, as people like to call them, will probably be supported for a year or two before they move on, because gameplay itself is evolving past what those consoles can do.
Right. Yeah, we're pretty much on the same page. So I think we're pretty much ready to move on. But let's check in with the chat here. I'm seeing some interesting comments. What's going on? I mean, I saw you guys talking about Link's Awakening earlier. Jiggy is saying he feels like Splatoon 3 will come on the Switch. Not impossible. We'll see. I do, Brandon. I do think you make a good point though that Splatoon 2 is going to continue to sell, but I think it comes down to if Splatoon 3. I think Splatoon 3 is going to need to have something that makes it feel really different, right? Like Splatoon 2 worked on the Switch really well. One, because it was a sequel, first of all, but also two, even ports work on the Switch because no one had a Wii U. Right? So with Splatoon 3, not saying it's not going to sell well, I'm just simply saying that if it does come out on the Switch, it needs to feel worth it for Splatoon owners. If people are just want their multiplayer fix, there needs to be something about the multiplayer for Splatoon 3 that is such an enhancement that people feel like they need it, right?
Honestly, if they launch a Splatoon 3 next year and it's just Splatoon 2 with more stuff, I probably won't buy it. I'm just gonna straight up, I probably won't buy it. That'll be disappointing. So like, even if it's like 2 years,
it'll feel like okay,
like,
so they stayed updating the game. They just stopped releasing those updates and they just put it into a different cartridge.
Right. I would not care about that at all.
Right. So we'll see. If it happens on the Switch, I think it's gonna be a couple more years, and it's gonna have to be a big change. And even if it doesn't, I still think it's going to have a big change whenever it happens. I think they're going to have to have something new to it. It can't just be, new single-player campaign, more weapons and maps. It's got to be more than that. And considering that it's EAD, there will be something more than that. So I'm not too concerned that they won't do things to keep things fresh. Yes, pun intended. But anyway, Sabbath is saying he heard Season 10 for Fortnite will be the last season. That will be interesting. I don't know.
I haven't heard about that.
This premise of Fortnite ending is just interesting.
It's hard to think.
Doesn't mean people stop playing it, right? Like Splatoon has ended, but it hasn't ended. Like, still play the game. There's still plenty to do. So I don't know. It will be interesting to see for sure. Maybe that final season will be crazy. Savage says he has a question. Would it make sense for Nintendo to port the first Splatoon on Switch? No. No, I wouldn't. Best case scenario, maybe like a DLC of like a remixed campaign of the first one, or like a retelling of that story or something. But even then, I don't think it's necessary. No. It's not gonna happen. It just won't happen. So, yeah, it's not happening.
All of the maps from the original are in Splatoon 2, as far as I know.
That's pretty much as good as you're gonna get. Yeah. And that's probably fine with Nintendo. So, let's move on. So with Fire Emblem Three Houses, I'm actually really hyped about it. We talked about this last week. I was hyped about it last week. I'm more hyped for it now. I'm really into everything with the Harry Potter-esque sort of environment, the teaching of your students and raising them and catering them to having this ideal team for yourself. But then with permadeath on, they can die, and these people you've grown attached to will be dead, right? But there's also, apparently there'll be a time skip at some point. This is public information. and some of the characters can fall in love with each other. You could fall in love with some of your students, and they can die, or they could be your best friend. They can die. So I love that because it just adds a lot more to the stakes, right? Like
Game of Thrones of video games.
Yes,
here.
exactly, right. So the permadeath has always added stakes to Fire Emblem, which made them interesting. But this focus on building up and raising these students and focusing on all these different side quests and events, like to do more with them, having more recreation with them. I think that one, it gives a lot more variety to the gameplay, right? But it adds to that value of loss when it happens, which I think is going to make the game even more deep and immersive, and well, the stakes are going to be higher, and that's going to be really cool. But one interesting thing that's been sort of spoken of or questioned on is, because I mentioned you can fall in love and things like that, there's relationships. Relationships have been an element in other Fire Emblem games. I don't know. I haven't played the recent Fire Emblems on 3DS, so I don't know if this has been the case. Brand, you brought it up, but it's been discussed with different news outlets. There will be same-sex relationships with certain characters in Fire Emblem Three Houses, and there was a statement by Nintendo. In Fire Emblem Three Houses, it is possible for the protagonist to have same-sex relationships with certain characters. However, we cannot explain this topic in more detail as to not ruin the excitement of all users who are looking forward to it. Regarding character raising, we have prepared a lot of options, so please kindly anticipate it. Now, I don't want to get political on this or anything like that, but I do think it's cool that that's an option because it's realistic. Because in real life, guess what happens? Everything. So I appreciate that this game is going for realism in many ways, including that way. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was in Fates or not. I remember it being in there, but it also might have been people being upset that it wasn't. So I'm not 100% sure because I didn't play that game. But I think there probably at least will be more in this game than there was in Fates, which is always good. So
yeah, and one interesting thing that I've heard people talk about with this game is that there's a lot of characters, a lot of different tropes and things brought up, I guess. But people were talking about how it all feels very natural. Nothing feels forced. Nothing feels like pandering, right? Which is like a big problem I have with some movies. Like oftentimes I feel like they go for, oh, this is that girl moment. Oh, this is that moment where the guy, he comes from the poor village and saves the day. Like when it feels forced and it feels like they're just catering to a minority for any sort of piece of media, I don't like it. But when it feels like it's a natural part of the narrative, I'm all for that, right? And from everything I've heard about Fire Emblem Three Houses, it seems like the writing for all the characters is very well thought out, very well done, and you're going to really get into the story and the characters with this game. And that's really exciting to me, especially because there's a lot of freedom as to how you can go about that. Like, the way the game is structured, it seems like they're going to be encouraged to play it through multiple times, because you do have to pick a house, and that will completely affect which characters you interact with, which I guess at least impacts the story to some degree throughout the game. So picking a different house will lead to a different experience. And even if you pick the same house, what if you focus on some characters as opposed to others, right? So and what if some people die and some people don't? Like, there's all that variety with the different character interactions that you can have with playing this game. And of course, there's varying difficulty as well, so that there's those different elements that will offer more replayability for this game, and that's really interesting to me. On top of the fact that, from what we've heard, there's so many different things you can do. This game's already a long playthrough just your first time. Yeah.
And I'd like to point out, in the treehouse, they specified if you're ever like, some people may not like all the customization, or they may feel overwhelmed, or maybe they think it's a little tedious to teach every single person. You can set it to auto teach them. It won't be as specifically tailored to your liking, but you also won't have to fiddle around with anything. So if you just want to get to the next battle, you can just set it to auto teach, and then you can just play the game if that's kind of your play style. If you're like, oh man, I don't want to add all this, filler stuff to my Fire Emblem game, I just want to play my battles, you can just set it to auto and play however you want.
Yeah, so it sounds like this game's actually been really well designed, really well thought out, tons of features. Like, everything about this game is sounding really good. Reviews are sound promising so far. We haven't seen too many reviews. I know Famitsu, they have like a scoring system where they have 4 different people play the game and they each give their own score. So it got a 37 out of 40, meaning 3 people gave it 9s out of 10. 1 person gave it a perfect 10 out of 10.
Right.
So it's really good, right? Anything between 36 and 40 is really good. Then Fire Emblem Three Houses, according to Famitsu, is a really good game. And I will say
Famitsu is a little bit.
They're all over the place, right? That is true. Like, I think Wii Sports got like a really high score at one point. Like, Wii Sports is good, but it's not like a 10 out of 10 kind of game either, right? So you're right in bringing that up. That's just one site. So that's why I like Metacritic, because it brings in many sites. Although you always have that one stinker review. It's like, oh, this game's a 2 out of 10 because I hate.
Well, it's 2 out of 10.
I hate blonde boys with green clothes. Stupid game. Screw Nintendo. Xbox for life. Like, that happens sometimes with reviews, but it happens for all games. It isn't just like the Nintendo bias. It happens for all games. There's always that stinker review. And we're talking about from critics, right? That's the whole other thing with fans.
I don't pay attention to the fan reviews on Metacritic.
No. I guarantee you, Pokemon Sword and Shield is gonna have the worst fan review score ever. Because there's gonna be this legion of people that will stop at nothing to just make people think the game is terrible. And we don't know if the game's gonna be terrible. But I guarantee you, the critics who have to care more about their professional career and being honest, you're going to see that their scores are going to be more fair, and there's going to be a lot of user scores from fans that are just pissed off about all of this controversy about Pokemon that are going to just put shit reviews. Whether it's warranted or not. I'm not saying it won't be warranted. I don't know yet. We don't know yet. But some people are not going to care. That's my point.
Yeah, I will say I'm so disappointed in the Pokemon community in general right now. I cannot, like, I went to one of the tweets, I read the comments, and I was like, oh, every single comment's just,
can we just move past this already?
Special decks. I was like, oh.
Like, so, I definitely have been on the side of Pokemon and Game Freak here, right? I'm in the minority. I agree that they need to make changes. We've talked about, so I don't want to talk about this for so much. Like, but my point is just that, like, I was a little disappointed when I heard the news, but I moved past it. It's like, okay, that sucks, but there's still other things that we get about the game. Like, and if you don't want it, that's fine. But this hate and attacking, it's just kind of, like, just, if you're not liking the features of the game, just don't buy it. Like, I don't talk about it. The backlash to me, like, it's just been going on for so long. It's been so prevalent. Like, I'll make a Pokemon video, right? And it won't be at all related to the national decks, but there'll be still people who are saying, oh yeah, screw this game, no national deck. Like, it just, I get it, but I want to just move on and start talking about other things. And it just keeps coming up and up and up. And I know people want change, and I think when your voice is heard, people Game Freak is probably being more introspective now. I'm sure Pokemon Company has made some considerations. They probably looked at this. Does that mean they'll make changes? We don't know. But, it is important to have your voice heard. I just wish we could stop attacking this game and just, if you don't want it, don't buy it.
Pokemon Company knows. They know. They know. They don't need you to tell them anymore. Give them constructive feedback about the things they are adding. Don't just tell them what they're doing wrong. Tell them about what they're doing right. And if maybe there might be other issues you can focus on. It's just this one issue. You're not giving good feedback if all you tell people is what they're doing wrong. You also have to tell them what they're doing that you do like.
So they know what to focus on. It's like, okay, this is what I did good. All right, cool. We'll push that, and we'll find another solution for that bad thing. I'm with you, but I don't want to continue to talk about this because we've talked about it ad nauseum for weeks, maybe months. So let's move on. Until something crazy comes up within that area. Probably not today, but we'll move forward here. But yes, buy Fire Emblem. It's gonna be a great game.
Yeah.
All right. So we're on the final topic here, guys. So is there anything else you guys want us to sort of talk about or question us on? Just put it in the chat. We'll get to it. But let's just kind of talk about what we sort of expect for the rest of 2019. I mean, we have dates for most things already. Luigi's Mansion 3, I believe was confirmed for October 31st this week. Right. We were speculating. There's a listing for the October 4th. Wrong. It's actually the 31st. But I think the Joy-Cons are coming out the 4th, so that's interesting how that kind of works out with the dating. We don't have to really talk too much about Luigi's Mansion. It's coming on the 31st. We want it. It's cool. We'll find out more about it.
I am glad it's not coming out on the 4th because as I mentioned, I believe last week, that's like directly after so many games. I need that space. Like space that out, please. Like give me that little bit of space to finish my games, get a little bit of money before you slam me with Luigi's Mansion and Pokemon. Like I got so many games in September. Need a little break to actually be able to play everything. So I'm glad it's not coming out so early.
There's a lot of games, man. I'm with you. So, still playing Mario Maker, right? Mm-hmm. And that's gonna be, we'll play that for a while, right? But Fire Emblem's coming out this week, and that's supposed to be a big game. We just talked about it. But then Link's Awakening is coming out in September, right? Ashton's coming out at the end of August.
Ooh,
these are all games I want, right? I want to get The Witcher 3 as well. I'm excited about that. The Panzer Dragoon remake, I'm also personally excited about. Those games are coming out fairly soon. I don't think we have a date for Panzer Dragoon yet, but I think it is confirmed for this year.
I want to buy
Mansion 3 in October.
Wolfenstein.
Oh, that too.
That comes out the same day as Fire Emblem, and I was like, why?
This is too much.
Why?
It's a lot to play. It's a lot to play. And then, for the 15 million that will still buy the game, Pokemon's coming out in November, right? So that's a lot. But is there anything else that we can sort of see happening that is not known yet? Like, what could we see? I mean, there's a couple things that have come up already. So since E3, one, we know the Hero is coming out by the end of the summer. Speculation is that it's really, really soon. Maybe even this Friday. I wouldn't be surprised. Just putting that out there. If you have anything to add to that.
I don't think it would be this Friday because that's the same day Fire Emblem comes out this Friday. I think it might be Wednesday because all the other Piranha Plant and Joker came out on Wednesdays.
I'm thinking but still this week.
It might be this week. So the thing is, I could also easily see it being early August.
The thing is, the way Joker was handled was out of nowhere. What?
Technically, summer doesn't end until September, though I don't think it's going to be September because, see, like, some people are arguing it's going to be, like, right at the end of summer, like, mid-September. I don't think so because they have to fit in after that 3 more characters before February. So I do think at the very latest it's going to be, like, mid-August. But I definitely could see it being mid-August is my thing.
I think something that people are arguing, though, is that it was the Hero content was shown in a trailer for summer games, but all the summer games were July games.
It was actually called. I think
they changed the name. It was July, and then they changed it to summer. Mm-hmm. But all the games in the trailer are July games, right? There's still August, for example. So yeah, there is this thought that the game will come out this month, and we're running out of time for this month, so. It's happening soon, I'm pretty sure. Wednesday might be a pretty good bet, actually. I'm glad you brought it.
It could be on my birthday, the Wednesday after this week. Could be.
It could be. That is like the end. The end of the month.
Good,
the very end. The very, very end of the month. Brandon, I hope you make a video like every day, because I know you're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. 2, 3, 4. Don't kill yourself. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen eventually, anyway. So.
I'm just surprised I'm as close as I am, because when I said that, I was like 450 subscribers below, and I'm only 110 away now.
That's a huge jump.
So
that's way more of a jump than you normally get in that time span. That's true.
I'm already doing really good, so I'm just like, if we hit 3,000, even better, but I'm happy with what I'm at right now.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't seen Brandon before, see him now. Make sure to subscribe. Link to
I would very appreciate it.
What about Nintendo if you watch this elsewhere? Because that may be happening. This podcast may be more than just YouTube now. We'll see. But yeah, so the Hero's probably coming out. I'm pretty sure sometime this month, right? We're running out of time, so it's soon, really soon. There's like 2 Wednesdays left, so maybe one of those days. That makes sense, Brandon. I'm glad you brought that up. But then besides that, we also are getting Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD. That's real. I'm excited about that. That's real. We talked about that last week. Like, oh, is it happening? Like, yeah, it's happening. But it is a port or HD remaster. Right. It's not a new.
I haven't played that one, so I'm curious.
I really enjoyed that one.
That one. That one's good, right?
I liked it a lot. It is a good game. It's not considered one of the better ones. Like, people are kind of scratching their heads, like, why did they do Monkey Ball 1 or 2? But I think it's fine.
I think this one was probably easier to remaster. It's called a remake. It looks kind of like a remaster. I'd have to compare the two, but it doesn't look like a full remake.
It does. Graphically, it feels like a Wind Waker HD sort of thing.
Yeah, it feels like what we were thinking.
Works really well
remake,
for the style.
Right, it looks good. It just doesn't look like as good as something like Spyro Reignited or Crash.
No, yeah, it's not like a complete rebuild of every asset. No, but I think the art style lend itself more towards an HD remaster. It's like
I think that's why they did it, because I think one of the PS2 and GameCube games would have to be like completely remade.
Yeah, because that uses like more gritty textures and things like that for sure. Yeah, this would be. It's gonna be easier to make it look really pretty, for sure, because they don't have to really mess with the textures too much, I guess. Yeah, for sure. And I'm hopeful they add some new content. We don't know about content in the game. People are really speculating about the mini games as well, like, because that all used Wii Motion. Like, how are they going to handle that? Because it's not just coming out on Switch; it's also coming out on PS4 as well, and eventually PC apparently. So there's speculation how that's going to be handled. So I do think it's definitely going to be some changes. But because it's coming to other platforms, which I knew about, I don't know if they're going to go ahead and add HD Rumble to the Switch. I hope they do.
I think they will. I think the Switch version will definitely end up being the definitive one, because I think you'll be able to use your Joy-Cons as a Wii remote, so you can play it like you did on the Wii. And you can have obviously they're going to have to put in some non-motion control ways, because even though PlayStation, Xbox, I think
they have
the Xbox controller has.
Well, I don't know if it's confirmed for Xbox actually.
Yeah. And the Xbox doesn't, I don't think. But the PlayStation does, but it's like never used.
Yeah, it's not out of the box. So it could be just an option if you have those controllers, but it'll be a default control setup you can just do with your standard controller. Maybe they'll remix the mini games, which would be cool. I hope they add a few more challenge levels. Maybe they remaster a couple Monkey Ball levels and put them in there. That'd be neat. I mean, there's plenty of content there already, but I'd like to see more. And HD Rumble, so fingers crossed. We'll see the game comes out this October as well, so that's pretty cool. But besides these announcements, right, what else could we see? I mean, do you still think we can see a September Nintendo Direct?
Well, obviously we're gonna get a Direct they're not gonna just have no Direct, so I definitely think September is prime candidate for that. Well, I could see them waiting till October, just because there's so many games releasing. Well, then again, they might want to advertise them in a Direct. I'm conflicted now. Oh, I need to. I could see both ways, because I could see them not wanting to release a Direct in September just because they want you to focus on all the games coming out in September, not games coming out in a couple months. But I could also see them wanting to remind you about all the games coming out in September. So you see what I mean? So I'm conflicted. But I think it would make more sense if I was Nintendo to do one in October, because you really don't need to highlight those games again in a Direct. You don't. It's just a waste of time. So I think it would be better to do it not like October or something.
Yeah, I don't know if they have to stick to the September time slot, but yeah, it's maybe like September or October we'll see another Direct, one or the other.
We could see one in August.
I don't think so.
We have before. So.
Yeah, good. Maybe.
I think last year we had one in October or in August.
I do think there will be some new game announcements for next year. Like last September Direct, we got Luigi's Mansion and Animal Crossing. I think they're gonna hype us up. Like, we have a lot of information about games now, but a month from now we're gonna be like, oh, we need more information. So I think people, as fans, get starved. Like, and Nintendo's gonna wait. It's like, oh, they're starved now. Let's wait 2 more weeks, right? Like, there will be a Direct that will give us something new. I don't know what that is.
I know what it is. It's Metroid Prime Trilogy HD. It's spring 2020.
Maybe. A year
I
delay.
just wanted to say that because I wanted to see how you'd react.
You stole my big secret prediction. How could you? How could you not see that? How could you see that coming? I never predict that game.
I think we'll definitely see a little bit more of Animal Crossing in the next direct, because we've seen like basically
I think
nothing.
there'll be a Pokemon trailer.
Yeah.
If it's in September, if it's in October, I don't know, because they might as well just have another Pokemon Direct right before the game comes out.
Do they usually have Pokemon trailers in Nintendo Directs?
No.
No.
They did have an E3.
Well, that was E3. That's not.
Yeah,
the same.
talent still hasn't been talked about. I don't think the date for that has changed for 2019 yet, so that's something to consider. I think it's likely delayed, but we'll see.
That game's gonna be probably spring 2020 at the earliest.
Right,
When are they gonna launch it? Well, when?
I don't know. December. December's still an option, man.
I mean, they could, but I mean, you launch Pokemon and then a month later you launch Talon. Like, that's a little weird for a company like that to launch games that close together. Like, that's just really odd.
Especially by Game Freak. They're both by Game Freak. Yeah. No, I'm not saying. Oh, I'm just suggesting that December is this time slot.
I just think it's really unlikely.
Metroid Prime Trilogy HD. This 2020.
This 2020.
I don't want to predict it for this.
To next 2020.
Yes, the next 2020. I think there's a chance we'll get a game in December. I just don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I definitely think we have something in December.
What?
I'm not sure, but something.
What? What would it be? Pikmin 3 port?
That could definitely be possible.
Yeah.
I don't think that we've just been hearing about Pikmin coming and then just like it was wrong. Like, I don't think that rumor is wrong. Like, necessarily like completely untrue. I think maybe they just wanted to announce it a little bit later because E3 was packed.
You don't know what's something else that could maybe be in December? I don't think it will be, but just saying. Skyward Sword HD.
No.
Yes.
No.
Especially with the possibility of Breath of the Wild 2 coming out next holiday. But that's a whole year's difference, so. And it'll be already months after Link's Awakening.
Yeah, it'd only be a few months after Link's Awakening, so it's be kind of weird.
It's a different game.
It is, but there's also no real reason to put another Zelda in.
Just throwing poop on the wall, hoping it sticks.
Now, if we did get anything from Zelda, I would like Wind Waker HD port, but that's not gonna happen.
I want a trilogy. I want a triple pack: Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess.
Yes, for $40. That's what
35.
35. There you
99.
go.
Yep, I know, because that's fair. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Honestly, with how much work they put into Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, I wouldn't it's probably worth $40 for all three of those. Maybe 60. Maybe it's worth 60. But let's be honest, it's not worth the $50 you're paying for Wind Waker HD and Twilight.
There's a similar thing that's already happened. It's called Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 in one package for $60. That was announced recently. It's an actual retail version of Resident Evil 4 for Switch, and it has a download code for 5 and 6. Riveting. All right.
That's not worth that money. That's not worth it.
No.
Those aren't even remasters either. They're just the normal game in HD.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like,
it's a rip-off and a half.
I'm just saying, like, the Zelda triple pack would be more valuable than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that December is really the last month where we're not sure about anything. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, guys. Let's check with the chat because they brought up some interesting things. Oompa Moyo, hello there. Do I think the next Pokemon will be totally open world? Do you mean like the next generation after Sword and Shield, like 2022?
I don't think they will, because I don't think the problem with Pokemon is that as many people are as hyped for Pokemon out in the wild in the open world segment, there's also like half the other fan base is like, why are there Pokemon in the open world? Why is there open world? And so it's just like, that's not gonna happen.
I think there will be more open world segments.
That could definitely be true, but I don't think it's gonna be, hey, it's Breath of the Wild Pokemon. It's just not gonna happen.
But it will definitely be a jump over Sword and Shield. I think there'll be that. I think with all the controversy about animations, I think they will make a jump with animations finally. I don't know if Ride Pokemon are in Sword and Shield. That seems to be unconfirmed. I think that might be something we'll see with the next Pokemon as well. So at least more open world segments, improved and like enhanced, actually like a rebuffed battle engine, and maybe all the Pokemon. Well, according to the Game Freak announcement, they said moving forward. They said just moving forward there wouldn't be any more national decks, which is, I think, the bigger reason people are pissed off. It wasn't just so much that it wasn't for this game, it's for never. So I hope that changes, actually, because that's kind of lame. I do agree that...
I don't know if I want to say this. I'm going to say this, and then we're not going to comment on it, and we're not going to start another discussion about it.
No, we're not. We're going to move on.
But I'm going to say this real quick.
This is ridiculous.
I don't think the National Dex is needed as much as anybody says. I don't think people like it as much as they say they do. I think they're pissed off because other people are pissed off. And I think it would actually be probably better for Pokemon if they focused on making Pokemon better with a limited selection of Pokemon, like, 3/4 of the Pokedex, like the National Dex.
Okay, you gotta stop now before you gotta stop.
I'm sorry.
We're about to we got a lot to talk about.
Yep.
No.
That's why I said we're not gonna comment.
I'm gonna comment on one thing and then just.
Okay.
I think the problem with that idea is that it's basically what Game Freak said would happen for this game, and people are really picking that apart and suggesting that that's not the case. I don't. You guys know how I feel about this, right? I think it's gonna be good. We'll see what happens. Let's just leave it with that. Moving on. There you go. That's it. So we'll see what happens. But talking about moving on. You're talking about 2020. Yeah, we got No More Heroes 3, Bayonetta 3, the new Zelda. Probably, I agree. Not confirmed, but definitely agree. Sal is asking, when do you think Banjo's release date will be?
I was predicting late September, but I'm going to push my prediction back a few weeks and say mid-October.
So that's the interesting point. I think there will be some sort of Banjo game coming. I think it's just going to be Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie together. I would love it to be Rare Replay. Maybe they could still do a Rare Replay. They could still do a Rare Replay. And if they do a Rare Replay, maybe that could come out in December. Maybe. Yeah,
but you don't think Banjo's going to come out in December?
No.
That'd be way too late.
That would not be fall. That'd be winter.
Right. And they'd have to release 2 more characters before February or before the end of February. So that'd be like, what? That's my thing. That's why I think that's why I'm being so conservative with fall and summer. Like, some people are like, oh, but don't you know summer ends like mid-September? I'm like, yes, I know that, but they also have to release 2 more characters after 2 more characters after Banjo. So they gotta space that out.
Right. So maybe there would be an October Nintendo Direct, and that's where they reveal the 4th character and the final ones at the Game Awards.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
That might be it. It really might be. We'll see. We don't know, but that makes sense. Yeah, actually, I mean, by October, and maybe the Replay comes out sooner. Well, I don't know.
I think Banjo is gonna release.
Because it's not by Nintendo, I don't think December might be the best time for it. Actually, yeah. I don't know. I think it's in the works. I just don't know when.
I don't think December's a bad time.
Banjo-Kazooie something. It might not be Rare Replay. It might just be a port of Banjo-Kazooie, but something Banjo-y.
I think Banjo coming to Switch, like a Banjo game, would be big enough to where it doesn't really matter where you put it. Like, people are gonna be praising this game. They're gonna be spreading the gospel of Banjo across the internet. Yeah, and there's gonna be a lot of hype for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be talked about for sure. See, like, for me, like, I'm okay. It's just kind of hard. I feel like it's hard to predict when a third-party company feels it's okay to have their game come out on a system, because it kind of feels random compared to, like, what Nintendo has. You know what I mean? Like, because with Nintendo, what games they have coming out on their system, right? But for example, Wolfenstein's coming at the same time as Fire Emblem. Like that's
Right.
hard to sort of like, okay, that makes sense, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. And then I think Monkey Ball Benevolence HD is coming out like the same time as Luigi's Mansion. So it just, or close to it. It's hard to sort of.
And then you got everybody who's going to be playing Link's Awakening remake on their way to Area 51.
Right, exactly. Yeah, on that road
I
trip
thought that
over
was
there.
hilarious, by the way.
Yeah,
The fact that they're on the same day.
it is funny. I'll be playing Link's Awakening before.
They're gonna be bringing their Switch lights to Area 51, playing Link's Awakening. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, well, they'll have a Switch strapped to their arm. They'll be Naruto running all the way over there.
Yep. It's
There
gonna
you
be great.
go, and they'll be able to play with one Joy-Con. Yeah. So Mastermind, he's saying this. Okay, here's our prediction for Smash. What if the last character reveal could be the official ballot winner? Because Bayonetta didn't really win, and Sakurai hasn't revealed who actually won.
I don't think so. That'd just be kind of. I don't know if that'd be very good press.
I think the thing is, the official statement is Nintendo chose these DLC characters, and the way it was written, it seemed like there was a pool of characters that Nintendo suggested, and Sakura was like, okay, these 5 will work, right? Like that's seems like what's going to sort of happen. So based on what we heard from that, that's not suggestive of the ballot thing. But I also will say that based on the characters we've gone for Smash Ultimate, it does look like they at least paid attention to it, right? Because we've got Ridley, King K. Rool, Banjo. Those are all high ballot level, sort of, high up in the ballot kind of characters. Who would have won the ballot? Probably was like Banjo or Ridley.
I would not be
right?
surprised if it was like Banjo or somebody.
Like, who else would win? Who would it have been?
Shrek.
Yes. Or
Shrek.
Goku. Son Goku.
There you go, Goku.
Son Goku, baby. Son Goku is the final DLC character. And people are... You know how many tables will be flipped? How much... People will be angry.
I can hear Ray
infuriated.
Cabana complaining from here.
Oh, I think it'd be cool. He likes Dragon Ball. I think he could come to accept it and enjoy it. I think Shifty would be more upset. He's like, no, it's against the rules. Now he's pretty accepting of things. He goes with the flow. So, but there'd be controversy for sure. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think the hero's the closest we're ever gonna get, at least for Smash Ultimate.
Until we get Chrono. He's also Akira Toriyama.
Yeah, that is true. That'd be nuts.
Dude, I want Frog. That's what
I think the last 2 characters are just a really hard picks. Like, I love the idea of them being more Nintendo-esque, but I think it makes more sense for it to be a big third-party character. We've talked about this we've talked about all these things ad nauseum. I mean, I want Leon from Resident Evil 4, but Crash makes sense. Doom Slayer makes sense. Those are options.
Oh, Doom guy gets in.
Right?
Oh,
maybe.
So cool.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. And Doom is a confirmed game for the Switch already, so that kind of goes into that theory as well. But we'll see. I'm curious what will happen this week. Maybe nothing, because we've got a lot of information the last couple of weeks already. But we didn't expect last week to be kind of a bombshell, and it was, and the week before that.
Yep.
So you never know, guys. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the discussion. Brand, is there anything else you sort of want to bring up before we bring it to a close?
Only that we've started to get a little bit more Astral Chain, like press coming out.
Yeah, meat is starting to flow up for that.
Excited for that game because that game is going to be amazing. Honestly, it might end up being my game of the year. Who knows? We'll see. That game is going to be so good.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. I'm definitely interested to see what happens with Astral Chain. My dog is scratching at my door. Great. Anyways, everyone, thank you so much for listening and watching. Leaving a like would be appreciated. Make sure to punch Brandon in the face when you go visit his channel and leave a like and subscribe. And we will see you guys really soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye, guys.